Welcome everyone, it's Ravi. This will be my Agatha All Along episode 6 video. This time we should actually say Billy All Along or Wiccan All Along. The episode was pretty much a Billy backstory explainer and explains how he survived WandaVision. Spoiler alert for those who haven't watched the episode yet. So grab your snacks and let's dive into the episode. So the episode begins with William getting dressed up for his bar mitzvah ceremony. Bar mitzvah is a Jewish ceremony and it's a coming of age ceremony obviously when a boy turns 13. It is a transition of a boy into a man and taking up responsibility. Too soon, but I don't want to comment on any religion. Then we see the cards of the ceremony and it's written Magic Mitzvah, which is obviously an Easter egg and also a reference to William believing in magic even before Billy's soul takes over his body. Now, as per the definition, it's a transition, and the way the episode plays out is William leaves his home as himself but comes back home after he transitions into Billy or Wiccan. Now, due to William's belief in magic, he opts to go for palm reading during a party, and the witch we see here is Lilia Calderoo. Lilia reads her hand and say it will be a transition of lifetime, and then her divination kicks in, and we see present day William, or the character we have known as Teen, who is walking the road right now. Lilia says, your lifeline is broken in two. Now, she could have told everything to William, but she doesn't, as William himself said he doesn't want to know everything, and also she foresaw the future and knew that he would be traveling the road with Agatha and all the witches, and it can be a danger for him to know who he is. And so, she says you are going to become a man, and it often represents personal growth and important life changes. But just after that, her divination kicks in again, or it never left. She says the Tower reversed, which is a tarot card. Now the keywords for this reversed, it's personal transformation, fear of change, averting disaster. Now before leaving, William says, love the vibe in here, very early Argento, which is reference to Dario Argento, who is an Italian film director and screenwriter, and his forte is horror genre. Then a big moment comes in. We get to know that Lilia is the witch who put a sigil on Billy, and it's a destructible sigil which is made into an art piece, and as soon as she places it into Billy's jacket, she forgets what she just did, and this is because the sigil also works on the witch who casted it, as told by Agatha to Teen in episode 4. Or Lilia this whole time was in trance, and as soon as the sigil is complete, she comes out of it and doesn't realize what she did, and then she comes out of the tent to return William's jacket. Now everybody leaves as the Westview anomaly is reacting again, which is Wanda is shrinking the hex. It's now William sits in the car and takes out his sigil, and suddenly he and his parents look towards the hex, which is shrinking. And notice that suddenly a car which is on wrong side comes in, and car hits the tree just on William's side. It's like it was destiny playing it all over. And in moments, William dies. Now, as William dies, Billy's soul takes over his body. And the first word he says is Tommy. As you remember, at the end of WandaVision, when Wanda tucks in both Billy and Tommy, they are laying side by side, wishing each other good night, but they weren't asleep. And as soon as they realize what's happening, the hex is reforming. So the last thing that Billy sees is Tommy. Now Jeff calls out the police, and the police officer that shows up and comes for the rescue is Alice Wu, which proves there are enough witchy people in 3-mile radius rule of the Coven, which is explored in episode 2 as told by Agatha. Now as we see William aka Billy's room, there are a bunch of Easter eggs. On the right we see Billy has Harry Houdini King of Cards poster. The middle art piece is the land of Cocaine, the description of the country of Shokogna. Now on the left we see scene from the works of Revius, a grand front, the Besicles, Gargantua and Pantagruel. Now down below we see Mystic Rock every Friday at your local pub poster, which includes genres like alternative, garage, post-punk, heavy metal and hard rock. Now as expected, the show has lots of Disney references because it's about witches, and even in William's room we see there are 3 posters side by side. First one is Disney's Alice in Wonderland, second is The Wizard of Oz, third one is the Black Cauldron. Also we see a Acid League Island poster. Now similarity between these 3 movies is that a very normal kind of person, a very normal human, goes into another dimension or walks onto another road, which draws parallel to William. As William turns, we see the Goofball poster and another poster of Houdini. After that, on the shelf, you can see many more Disney characters. As much as I can figure out, the left one is the green evil witch. Moving on from that, there's Woody from Toy Story, and also there's one of a little green man toy from Toy Story. Lastly, we see a poster of Miss Baldwin. Now, as Billy looks himself in the mirror, there's another mirror kept on the side, which is a nod to the confused state of his mind and the two identities existing in his body. And lastly, he says, "I am William Kaplan," which I think suppressed Billy's memories, as when he woke up from the accident, he said Tommy. But eventually and periodically, his memory will fade as the sigil made by Lilia works. Then 3 years later, which is present day in the MCU, and we see Billy with his boyfriend Eddie, whose name very closely rhymes with Teddy. In the comics, he is a girl-based young Avenger with Elias Hulkling, and also he is Wiccan's boyfriend. He is a symbol of Korean skull love. Now, after the conversation, Billy takes him to his room, and upon entrance, we see a bunch of newspaper cutouts. I'm gonna point two of them. Now, one of them has a name of member of art department of the show, which is Jim Stubblefield. Also, the cutout with heading examining the red dome anomaly and its impact has a date of February 15, 2026, which fits perfectly with the MCU time. Then we get to know that the whole Westview incident was masked as Avengers training exercise gone wrong, as told by Eddie. Then on the screen, we see Jen, the potion witch, and now we know that Billy has met two witches, which is Lilia Colruyt and Alice Wu, and he's about to meet Agatha, and he follows Jen closely on YouTube as he admires her skin. Billy shows Eddie the runes which Wanda casted during her battle with Agatha. Then he talks about meeting a Reddit guy, and we get to meet Bonerific 69, and my nightmare comes in with the Ralph Boner. And it's obviously Ralph Boner, who now wants to be called Randall. Yeah, like changing your name would make internet forget about you. Now Ralph explains Westview in a very simple way, and it's a great way to tell what all the people really experienced. As quoted by Ralph, it was like watching yourself on TV inside on your own head. How Agatha Harkness made him her puppet. He killed a dog. He held Monica Rambeau in an attic as a hostage. And he was a bad influence to Billy. And then William returns to his room, and now here we go again as we get much closer shot of his room, and there are a bunch of Easter eggs. Now upon entrance on the right, we can see poster of Ma Kali, a Hindu goddess who is also a symbol of black magic in the religion. We see a Fleetwood Mac poster, which is the same poster that appeared in episode 4 in Alice Wu's trial. Also on Billy's wall, we can see Lana Wu's poster, who is Alice Wu's mother and the singer of the ballad, which teen was listening while searching for Agatha. Next is Wizard of Oz poster, which comes back from 3 years. He's still not over it. So there are a bunch of Easter eggs here about sigils. First of them is destructible sigils activated by being destroyed. It creates a burst of energy that gives the sigil power. Write, carve, or cinch sigil onto paper, wood, food, or object and destroy it by fire. Also, there are permanent sigils which are active for long periods of time. Sigils can be made into art pieces or hidden in other objects and can be recharged to strengthen and revitalize the active energy. Also, there is a Greek saying which is written and posted inverted, but I was able to figure it out. So it reads like, too many cultures that working theory about physical or psychological ailments occurred on or around this disease are very common against Cheshire witches from Greek and Rome, were regularly accused of drawing upon supernatural powers to heal or harm. These figures were typically seen as both healers and harbingers of misfortune, navigating line between benevolence and malevolence in their communities. William searches for Agatha and comes across Zeppelin explosion, which was a real-life crash of Hindenburg which happened on 6th May 1937, and this newspaper is printed on 7th May 1937. Marvel is sticking with the dates, that's great. And this paper states that Agatha was there. Now, was she the one who caused the explosion? Maybe, maybe not. maybe she was just a survivor. And also it is stated that Agatha was Jolene, who used to flirt with Dolly Parton's husband, and Dolly Parton made an infamous song on her named Jolene. Well, I think Loki and Agatha have a thing for becoming icons in pop culture, which did bad stuff but still are remembered as classic. Like Loki is B.B. Cooper. As Billy gets to know that Agatha has survived the Witch's Road, the song also reaches its hook saying, "Down the Witch's Road, almost if destiny is guiding him." Also, the disc of the ballad that is playing is the same that appears in episode 4. Now, William reaches Westview and opens his spell book to read out the release spell, and then gets a message from Eddie, who calls him his Black Heart. So Lilia called William the Black Heart and not Mrs. Sharon or Rio Vidal. William sneaks in and takes the locket, and we get to know that sequence didn't happen that smoothly as it was shown in episode 1. And we see Mrs. Sharon didn't bump William but actually stops him by opening the door and calling him hooligan. Everything in episode 1 is shown again and through William's perspective, and to be honest, it's quite funny. At least some scenes are. But I'm not gonna cover them because there are not bunch of Easter eggs, just one, that actually two. Agatha is talking to nobody there. It has been shown as Chekhov's gun. You can just imagine that sitting there, or Rio Vidal sitting there, or else she is just talking to a plant. And the second scene is Boner reunion pitch a tent. Now that's funny. And then we jump to Witch's Road, where Agatha comes out of the mud using a root. She has this kink of survival. She survives every damn time. I think there's a deal that she has made with the death. Now as Agatha comes out, William breaks his sigil. Agatha asks Billy to feel not guilty about overtaking William's body, as if through this explanation she is somehow justifying her own deeds. Maybe she just took over someone's body and this is not her real one. And that's why the Coven was punishing Agatha. Like, the Agatha that we see isn't in her real body. Now Agatha asks Billy's motives and interestingly says, "Find Mama." And this raises the question, is she not aware of her death despite what she saw in episode 1? Or Wanda really isn't dead? Agatha hilariously says Toby. B-Y and not B-E-Y. She is clearly not referencing Tobey Maguire, but Spider-Man fans like me jumped a bit on this one. Billy says he can sense Tommy but can never find him. And the episode ends where Billy tries to use his power in a way to show Agatha that he doesn't need her, but fails to do so as he still cannot control his powers. And the reason here is very simple, as he was just 10 years old since he used his powers, and that too in a hex, where Wanda was controlling things. And also Billy also uses chaos magic just like his mother. Now Billy warns Agatha that he does not trust her, and they leave to find the next trial. If you're wondering where are Lilia and Jen, they are still alive, guys. As shown in the mid-season trailer, they are down below from the mud. So this was the end of episode 6 of Agatha All Along, and I hope you enjoyed this. Your feedback and comments are very necessary. It will help me to improve day by day as we go on. Also, I will be bringing out my theory and Wiccan's comic book origin video tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Stay tuned for that. Subscribe to the channel, like it, share it if you want to.